liberty, and justice for all.
Thank you. You can all be seated. This is, it's great to see so many people come out and support these two great gentlemen. And this is Mrs. Hardy's idea. This is Mrs. Hardy's show. And I'm going to give it over to Mrs. Hardy.
Thanks for the handoff.
Yeah.
Actually, it's my student show. I'm just here to support them. So we would like to welcome some special guests this evening. The VFW Task Post Commander, Glenn Elliott, and American Legion Post Commander, Bob Simpson, and let's see, who else do I see? Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Newton, and of course my fellow Board of Selectmen members. There's another Board of Education member up at the back, a former student of mine, Mr. Kleinhans. And so I'll turn the program over to them, and it really is their idea. So, there you go.
Well, I guess I'll start introducing us. I'm Jack McDonald. Okay, I mean, thanks. This is all right. I'm Jack McDonald.
I'm Jack Mountain.
I'm
Same
Victoria
name.
Shaw.
Thank you. All right, so it was, I think, a joint idea between us because we wanted to do another video for our second semester in Miss Hardy's Contemporary Issues class, and we decided to kind of interview some veterans in East Lyme and share their stories, preserve their stories. So we interviewed Mr. Floyd Welch and Mr. Harry Danos, two World War II veterans, and we just wanted to kind of get their stories on tape and listen to them and share them with everyone. So I guess we'll show the video now.
Living history.
Okay.
Two World War II vets tell their stories. We start in 1941 with the attack on Pearl Harbor.
The Far Eastern double-crossers had their ships and planes on the way for the Snake Front. Their time was well prepared as ships went on to Pearl Harbor. Then seven. In a surprise assault, American warplanes were caught on the ground and bombed. Most of them were disabled. That crippled our air opposition to the Japs, and their planes were able to swarm over the harbor and bomb and torpedo the warships there.
Mr. Floyd Welch was aboard the USS Maryland, which was docked in Pearl Harbor.
I was in Tech High School. Along toward graduation time, they would come over and look the senior class over and ask them if they'd like to come over to the boat when they graduate and so forth. Well, there was another boy lived fairly close to me. We were thinking about the Navy, and we drove down. You had to go to New Haven to sign up, so we drove down, and they took him. He was 18. I wasn't quite 18. In another month I would be 18, but they wouldn't take me. So when that month was up, I went back down. Yeah, they grabbed me and signed up, and they put me on a train for, I'll call it my ship now, the Maryland. That was its home port. Pour and rain. I was the only one got on the Maryland. And once a year, we would go out to Hawaii. And that was for gunnery practice. Stay a couple of weeks and come back to our home port. Well, come another year or so, we were staying out there, not coming back to our home port. But nothing was said. Going on toward a year we were out there, they did tell us we moved our home port out to Hawaii. I made third class electrician up in the deck force because I knew they wouldn't let me go if I was doing this. I sneaked down on my time off, and well, besides that, they gave me down below, they gave me a book to study for electrician. called steamer shoes, for your older shoes. You kept your topside shoes for inspections and going topside, unless you were working topside. I was coming out of the shower, taking my shower, stepping out of the big shower room we had there, and they blew throughout the ship. It went to speakers and all. Fire and rescue. Fire and rescue. Well, I grabbed my clothes. My locker was fairly close to the door, the shower room door. Ran down to where my fire and rescue station was, or toward it. And what happened? They blew general quarters. That's to man your battle stations. Turn around, meet these fellows coming down. They had turned around, and your passageways were about this wide. It was quite a task, messed up and all, but I got to my general quarters station, which was about midship, down 2 decks. Now, my general quarters station, you know, it was real general quarters. I figured it was a drill. So we got our sound power phones on and so forth, and we could hear things going on outside through the water against the side of the ship. They're fairly loud noises, but can't be a war or anything. It didn't even enter our heads. We found out that it was the real thing. But we are still down there on our battle station, and we hear pretty loud booms too. One of them went through almost off the bottom, but it was well below the water line, which is 30 feet. And they called for us to come topside on the forecastle. As my head came up above the deck, and all I saw on the port side was the bottom of the Oklahoma.
The Maryland damaged and the capsized Oklahoma. Battleships were moored at docks in pairs, and the outer ones were torpedoed. Battleship Maryland on fire, and the Oklahoma has capsized. And in the bomb and torpedo attack, high explosives hit the West Virginia. And the Tennessee, seen in the background. West Virginia has sunk in shallow water and rests on the bottom.
Next, we move to 1945, the Battle of Iwo Jima.
And there it is, Iwo Jima, 8 square miles of volcanic rock. This was the toughest single action of the Pacific War. It cost nearly 20,000 American casualties, over 4,000 of them dead. But 21,000 Japanese were killed or captured, and the American flag now flies on the summit of Surivati.
Mr. Harry Danos was stationed on Iwo Jima after the initial battle.
The time I enlisted, the B-29, the bomber, was on the drawing boards. My suspicion is, and I don't know if this is true, my suspicion is that we didn't know we would be that successful in taking islands over in the Pacific that the Japanese had overrun. The B-29 comes out of the drawing boards. They're successful in taking the islands back in the Pacific, so the distances from where we were operating from and going to were shorter than we originally anticipated. In other words, we thought we had a tougher job. At that time, there was no Air Force as we know it today. The Army was the one that had the airplanes. So we were being trained for anything that could occur. And I spent a year at Amherst College, and here's a guy walking in the corridor hey, that's Ted Williams. We were trained at. We studied math, we studied calculus, English, you name it. And what they were really doing were looking for people who could think on their own and end up adapting to circumstances that weren't written. And I think that's one of the Japanese soldier was an outstanding soldier, but he was very regimented. We were a lot different in character. Privileged, I feel privileged to have been brought up with that kind of a group. The Turner Tinker Post here is named after Marvin Tinker, who was a flamethrower on Iwo Jima. And I find out from some of his playmates who were closer to my age that he was very athletic and outstanding guy. He was killed on Iwo Jima as a flamethrower. So somebody pays a price so that we can be where we are. You're looking at the guy that tracked the flight of the Enola Gay and the boxcar. I hadn't the slightest idea what I was doing. Marveling at how a nation such as ours, which is as open as ours, could have kept anything so well under wraps, so well rehearsed. Everybody knew what their job was and they did it. And I think it was the first night that I'm there, the Japanese resented giving up that island. They were sending bombers in to, anyway, bombs are coming down, and yours truly said, gee, I'm in a war. And I was stunned at my own reaction. I wasn't afraid that I was going to get killed. I was afraid if I didn't get back home, what would happen to my mother? And my mother kept me alive. And I'm still of the theory, you never know who a human is until he's faced a crisis. There were more medals of honor granted there, but the reason was, and all the Marines are trained as follows: you have a buddy system. You've got to be as interested in your buddy as you are in yourself. And it paid off. And fear becomes secondary. I got to stay on longer than most of the commissioned guys, and they would shuttle me around the Pacific. So I went from Iwo was my first station point. I went, and the war ended when I was on Iwo. From there I was sent to Guam. From Guam I was sent to the Philippines. And I even got to occupy Japan, saw the Emperor's Moat, and was right 3 buildings down from a fellow by the name of General MacArthur. My most hateful enemy became my best friend. I adored the Japanese emotions and their family considerations. They were good. I enlisted because if I made the cut, when I say the cut, they would test you mentally, I was going to get an education. It was also patriotic. In other words, anybody that was of age who understood Pearl Harbor was emotionally distraught. You're going to be called upon to pay a price. I don't know what it will be, but your day will come.
All right, so this next letter that we're reading is a letter from Mr. Peck during the rededication of the American Legion Post. So I'll start. I would like to be here today. If I were, I would probably be the only person here who knew Marvin Tinker. We grew up together in Niantic. I was looking at a picture a few nights ago, and there we were almost 50 years ago. Me and Tink grinning about something, kneeling under a huge tree in his yard. He lived in a house across the street from my family, in what is now the elementary school yard at the corner of West Main and Patagonia Road. Marvin was 3 years older than I, and I looked up to him in the way that most kids that age looked up to slightly older boys. We hung around together much of the time back then. He even taught me how to drive. I remember him as an early athletic fanatic. There were no health clubs then, no Nautilus machines, no spandex-clad hopefuls on automated stair climbing machines. Back then, if you wanted to get strong, you unloaded your neighbor's grain truck or cut wood or hauled cement. Marvin tackled this type of work with obsessive zeal simply for the joy of staying fit. And he was strong. He was a talented athlete as well, a baseball and football all-conference star, an all-state honorable mention at the former Chapman Tech.
I was envious of him when he enlisted in the Marines. Like many American youths, he couldn't wait to get the jabs. He enlisted early in May and was shipped out in September. He was killed on Iwo Jima in the following March. I have saved a faded newspaper clipping with a death announcement. There is a picture of Marvin in his Marine uniform above the obituary story that gives the facts of his brief life. But the picture is more telling than the words. What you see when you look at the newspaper picture are those traits that we like to think are representative in the best of the American character. There is a confident ruggedness in that face, a quiet resolve in the set of his jaw, and a simple earnestness in the level gaze looking back out at you. There is a kind of pride in his demeanor, something that makes you think Marvin is telling you, I can take anything you can dish out and beat you at your own game, kind of attitude. And so it seems fitting that we remember Marvin Tinker, and that of which he is so symbolized, and of which we are rightfully proud by rededicating this American Legion post in his memory, Norman B. Peck.
So at this point, we'd like to invite Mr. Welch to come up, and if you'd like to sit, you may, or if you'd like to stand, whichever you'd like.
What am I gonna do?
Well, would you like to say a few words? Perhaps you'd like to tell us a story about trying to rescue the people that were in the water after the bombing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you like to stand or to sit?
Oh, I can stand that long.
Okay, so we thought that that was a very interesting story that you told about trying to rescue the sailors and soldiers that were in the water and you couldn't because of the circumstances.
Well, I brought along quite a few pictures that we couldn't, of course, keep our cameras. About the next day or so after the attack, they came around and anybody had a camera, they took it, and I didn't see it until after the war ended. But we had a photographer. That was his rate as a photographer. Each ship, I guess, the ship would have their own photographer, and I have quite a few pictures here that were taken during the war, and I might be around after we get through here. Out the door there, if anybody would be interested in some of those. I started a book and never finished it, but now on the screen you saw where I came up on the foredeck of Maryland. They called us up there. At that time, I was in a repair party, that's it. We had a good deal of them throughout the ship. And each one would have preferably a rate of each kind. Like I was the electrician and they had doctors and so forth. And there were many repair parties throughout the ship. So if a torpedo or bomb hit here, there would be a close repair party there that could take care of any injuries or important circuits that ran throughout the ship, anything like that. So that's what the repair parties were for. And they wanted 1 hours up on the foredeck of the Maryland. And as I was going up through the hatch, I was going up on the starboard side, and we were tied up to the quays on the starboard side, and the Oklahoma was tied up to us, which we didn't like very much at all, because the outboard side got all of the nice breezes when you came in and all, and that was, the inboard side was not very good at all, but they did alternate. 1 week this and 1 week that. So this was our week inboard. And my head went up, and this hatch was on the starboard side between turret 1 and turret 2. And I glanced between the turrets, and there was the bottom of the Oklahoma, maybe 6 feet above the water. And the propellers and so forth showing. So we've been below after General Quarters had gone for quite some time, and the Tennessee was tied up behind us, and the West Virginia was tied up behind the Oklahoma. Well, now, there was a waterway that went on the opposite side of the channel from the Oklahoma up to the subbase. And that is the way these torpedo planes came in. They wanted to get down as close to the water as they could, and then drop the torpedo and up and away. Well, opposite this channel going up to the subbase was the Oklahoma, and we were inboard of the Oklahoma. Well, they started dropping these torpedoes, and all the ships, as soon as they got word, started buttoning the ship up. But being as the Oklahoma was the first ones they started attacking, she was wide open. All the doors and hatches and everything wide open. Half of her crew were ashore for the weekend. And she went over very fast. I don't know how many torpedoes she took, but the small crew that was on there, I understand there were 33 of them that were able to be saved. The yard workmen came over to help us, and of course we took 2 bombs forward. Both, one of them just about went through the bottom of the ship, and the other one flew out the side. And our crew could not stop the water from coming in. The yard came over. The next day, well, I guess it was, they started on that afternoon. mid-morning or a little after by the time the jet planes left. And they had to dig a channel out ahead of us because when the Oklahoma went over, as she was going over, her sides just pushed us as tight as you can figure against those concrete blades. And the yard had to blast them out and then dig a channel ahead of us because we had to go forward. Couldn't go out the way we normally do, have a tug pull us sideways, and out we go. So that Oklahoma wasn't going to let us by her.
Well, thank you very much for the recollection, the memories, we appreciate it, and,
Just getting started.
that's why we're gonna ask you to come out.
In a few words, our mission from the time we were hit there was to go in and bombard the head of the landing parties. And we carried 2 planes of our own to tell us where to fire our 16-inch guns. And we would go in, sometimes we could do it in a half a day, sometimes we could do it in 3 or 4 days. And then it goes on up to, was it Okinawa? The last Okinawa. That took us 3 months. And we were shot up so with the suicide planes that they figured we were worth nothing anymore and sent us back to the States. And when we were on our way out of the Straits of Andalusia, well, on our way in, they surrendered over in Europe. On our way into Bremerton. On our way out, they surrendered Japan. So they stopped us halfway out there, sent us to Hawaii, and stripped us of all of our crew they possibly could. And we were on magic carpet until every last one was transported back to, and well.
Okay, so it's Mr. Danos' turn now.
Why don't we leave Mr. Floyd here?
I think that
Mr.
was-
Welch here, we get for the proclamation, so we can set Harry right next to him. Or no? Wanna come back? Yeah, I'll help you.
Thank you.
All right.
I hope I didn't interrupt you too much.
No, very interesting.
Nobody wants to hear me, trust me. Fascinating story, sir. All set.
Well,
Harry, come on up.
quite a few years, I wrote down.
Wakarimaska Nipponjin, do you understand Japanese? Arigato, thank you for having me. I got a short story to tell. I didn't know I would be competing with Clark Gable and Robert Taylor, but there it is. So, I had a younger brother who was on the Lexington aircraft carrier, and we commiserate every once in a while, and we're almost appalled as to the state of events right now. When we keep looking at these little iPads, and someone says, "How are you today?" They don't spell you out, it's just, it's a you. And what comes back is a picture of a smiling face. And we both are up in arms that everybody is taking these shortcuts because we knew where up was, we knew where down was, we knew where left was, we knew where right was.
Yeah.
Anyway, as we're commiserating and crying in our beer, he said to me, "Harry, where did we go wrong?" We went wrong in the following places. Our job was not ended at the end of the war. And so I congratulate Roseanne Hardy, who's been living in a Republican town for years, and she still does what she does, and all the other officials who are giving their time and carrying on. So we have to belong to zoning boards, we have to belong to boards of education. We do have something to give. You don't have to agree with me, but we do have something you can argue about. Thank you for having me.
I'd like to ask State Representative Mr. Cheeseman to come up, please. Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Hardy, and thank you to all who are coming. It's a real honor to be here and to represent the towns of East Lyme and Salem. And there is no greater honor and privilege than being here tonight to honor these two gentlemen and the three young, amazing residents of East Lyme who made this video. So I will say, Senator Formica couldn't be here, but he does send his regards and his best wishes. I'm going to start with Mr. Welch, as he was first in the video. I have here an official citation introduced by me, Representative Holly Cheeseman of the 37th District, and Senator Paul Formica of the 20th District. Be it hereby known to all that the Connecticut General Assembly hereby offers its sincerest congratulations to Floyd Welch in recognition of your outstanding and honorable service to the U.S. Navy on the USS Maryland, particularly at Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, which changed the course of our nation and the rest of the world forever. We are grateful for sharing your personal stories and experiences of defending our country against tyranny and attacks to our democracy. Your participation in the documentary serves as a testament to the extraordinary accomplishments and challenges of the greatest generation, and will help our community and the rest of our nation to never forget your service during a defining era in our civilization. The entire membership extends its very best wishes on this memorable occasion and expresses the hope for continued success, given this 21st day of June 2017 at the State Capitol, Hartford, by Martin M. Looney, President Pro Tem of the Senate, Joseph Arasimowicz, Speaker of the House, and Denise W. Merrill, Secretary of the State. So on behalf of the General Assembly, thank you so much. And for Mr. Danos, again introduced by me and Senator Formica, be it hereby known that Connecticut General Assembly offers its sincerest congratulations to Harry Danos in recognition of your outstanding and honorable service in the U.S. Army Air Corps, particularly on Iwo Jima and the Battle of Okinawa. We are grateful for sharing your personal stories and experiences of defending our country against tyranny and attacks to our democracy. Your participation in this documentary serves as a testament to the extraordinary accomplishments and challenges of the greatest generation, and will help our community and the rest of the nation to never forget your service during a defining era of our civilization. And again, the entire membership extends its very best wishes on this memorable occasion and expresses the hope for continued success, given this 21st day of June, and signed by the President Pro Tem Martin Looney, the Speaker of the House Joseph Arasimowicz, and Denise Merrill, Secretary of the State. So thank you so much. And to three wonderful members of a new generation. I'm going to read the citation once. It reads the same way for all of you. The General Assembly official citation introduced by Senator Formica and me. Be it hereby known to all that the Connecticut General Assembly hereby offers its sincerest congratulations to Victoria Chung, Harry? Jack McDonald and Jack Mountain, yes. Right. In recognition of your outstanding dedication and commitment in creating a documentary highlighting Henry Danos and Floyd Welch's honorable service in World War II, and providing them an opportunity to tell their personal stories and share their experiences of defending our country against tyranny and attacks to our democracy. This video serves as a testament to the extraordinary accomplishments of the greatest generation, and will help our community and the rest of the nation to never forget this defining moment. We join with your friends, family, and community in wishing you continued success in all your future endeavors. The entire membership extends its very best wishes on this memorable occasion and expresses the hope for continued success, given this 21st day Speaker of the House, and Denise Merrill, Secretary of the State. So I have one for each of you. And thank you so much, and thank you, Ms. Hardy. You are a shining example of everything that is great about this town, this community. Jack? McDonald.
Yes.
And this nation. And I really, it's an honor to serve you, and it's an honor to be here this evening.
Thank you. First, let's once again give a round of applause for these three who did such a great job. That's over and above service. That's service to the town. It's service to us so we can remember these stories for generations. Part of the archives now, and you have been for quite a while. And I know this isn't the first time the town has honored both of you with your service, so we're so appreciative. Before I read the proclamations of the town, Christina Fenton. So Christina, yeah, it's all right. So Sandy's the new executive secretary in the first Selectmen's office. This is her daughter, Christina. Yesterday, Christina signed up for the Marine Corps. So proud of you. So we have some veterans from wars long ago. We have the newest soldier, the newest corpsman. I don't know what you are. Marine, right. The newest Marine and the newest veteran in our town. So goes to boot camp in November, and maybe sooner because she's so anxious to get there and serve us. So thank you, Christine. I have two proclamations. Harry, I'll put yours first this time. So whereas February 19, 2017 marked the 72nd anniversary of the Battle of Iwo Jima, a significant date in our nation's history, and whereas the Battle of Iwo Jima was one of the most intense hand-to-hand battles in American history, and whereas the largest combined force ever committed to battle by the United States Marine Corps, more than 63,000 United States Marines from 3rd, 4th, 5th Marine Divisions fought that day and night for 24 hours consecutive to overtake, 24 consecutive days to overtake the 8 1/2 square mile of rock. And whereas at 10:32 a.m. on February 23rd, 1945, a group of Marines raised the Stars and Stripes atop Mount Suribachi, inspiring their comrades to plunge into battle with renewed vigor. And whereas close to 7,000 Americans lost their lives in Iwo Jima, and more than 19,000 others were wounded. My God. And whereas Harry Danos demonstrated meritorious service. Told you I'd mess that up. Meritorious service in the U.S. Army Air Corps during World War II while serving on Iwo Jima. And Harry Danos provided a great service to the town of East Lyme to design and construction of this here town hall. How about that? Further, be known that the residents of the town of East Lyme remember that with eternal respect, those that were injured or gave their lives in the service of our country in World War II. Now, therefore, I, Marvin Tinker, first selectman of the town of East Lyme, do hereby recognize Mr. Harry Danos for his service to our town and our country on this 21st day of June. Sir, it's such a pleasure.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Outstanding, gentlemen, outstanding. It's such a pleasure, and such a pleasure to delay our town meeting. It always is, and for good reason. Our town meeting will start. That's why you're here. What a little bonus you had. You were coming in for the town meeting. What a bonus it is to come in and hear from these two. Whereas on Sunday, December 7, 1941, the Imperial Japanese Army launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor in an attempt to break the American will and destroy our Pacific fleet. And whereas the attack left over 3,500 Americans killed or wounded, it was the beginning of World War II. And whereas our service members valiantly answered the call by defending their positions, fighting back against our attackers, and caring for our wounded. And whereas the sacrifices made by the members of our armed forces and civilians to protect America and its people will never be forgotten. Whereas President Franklin D. Roosevelt declared December 7th, 1941 as a date which will live in infamy. And whereas Floyd Welch provided meritorious service in the U.S. Navy, serving at Pearl Harbor aboard the USS Maryland, and demonstrated great valor during the attack and aftermath, and continued distinguished service through the remainder of the war, including on Okinawa. And whereas Floyd Welch represents the true values of American citizenship by continuing to be an upstanding member of the East Lyme community. Yes, you are, sir. Further be known that the residents of the town of East Lyme remember with eternal respect those who were injured or gave their lives in the service of our country during World War II. Now, therefore, I, Mark Nickerson, for Selectmen of East Lyme, do hereby recognize Mr. Floyd Welch for his service to our country. Such a pleasure to know you, sir.
Thank you.
Well, I think that one of the reasons that Mr. Welch has lived a very long life is due to his partner. They have been together for 72 years. Is that right? 72 years?
Yeah.
And I asked you the other day, how many nights did you have to spend on the couch? And I found out none. Very inspiring. So, students, parting words? Yes? Why don't you tell them where you're headed to next year?
Okay.
And what you have over here.
Okay, I'm Jack McDonald again. And I'm going to Embry-Riddle, which is in Daytona, Florida, for astronomy and astrophysics.
My name is Jack Mountain. I'll be attending University of Connecticut, studying pharmacy.
My name is Victoria Chong. I will be attending Hofstra University and majoring in video and television production.
Thank you very much for coming this evening. And we wish that we hope that this would be ready for Memorial Day. But any day when you can honor people such as this for their service is the right day. So we're hoping, I have some of next year's students sitting in the back of the room and hoping that they'll carry on the tradition of helping to remember people who contributed not only to our town, but also to our country. So there are other people in town, other veterans, and hopefully they will literally take up the flag and carry on next year. So, in the words of Bob Hope, thanks for memories.
Motion to adjourn? So moved. Can I get a second? Okay, the special meeting is adjourned. We will start the town meeting in about 4 minutes. We're going to clear the room. If you're here for the town meeting, stay. We'll take some pictures and hear some stories out the lobby.
Yes.
Okay?
Before you get up the crowd, may I introduce a couple of people? Gene Cushman is an outstanding legal attorney who was part of the 3rd Marine Division. They were leading a prominent group on